Well, we are learning more about a serious link between COVID and strokes. CDC researchers analyzed data looking at those who were diagnosed with COVID-19 and hospitalized for stroke. What they found, the risk of stroke among older adults is highest within the first 3 days after testing positive for COVID. But after that point, the chances of getting a stroke quickly decline. Troubling news today as we see those diagnosed with bipolar disorder having twice the amount of suicide attempts than those diagnosed with depression. So unless properly diagnosed and treated, the otherwise manageable condition can literally be deadly. Many people too ashamed to seek help. WCNC Charlotte's Sarah French shows us how we can break down the stigma around the disorder.
The typical onset for diagnosing bipolar disorder is at about age 25. But for many people, they've been dealing with the disorder for years before that. Mental health counselor Jackie Greco says oftentimes people will get diagnosed with depression before getting their bipolar disorder diagnosis.
Oftentimes, folks come in with depressive symptoms and get treated for and diagnosed with depression. And for bipolar diagnosis to be diagnosed, folks have to experience at least one manic or hypomanic episode.
Sarah Schley is living with bipolar 2 and says it took her 25 years and 5 doctors to finally get diagnosed.
The difference for me is that I don't have those big highs. I'm high energy, probably like you are, and in a good day, I'll get a lot done, but I don't have the classic mania that would be diagnosed as such.
For some people, the reason the diagnosis comes later in life is because they're just too ashamed to get help.
The last thing you want to do is reach out because you feel shame, you feel all the negative feelings that you don't want to reach out.
Greco says to reduce shame, we all need to educate ourselves.
We have to become aware of our prejudice and how we treat folks with mental health diagnoses differently, and we other them. People who live with mental health diagnoses are not that different from people who don't.
I'm here talking to you like this is the face of bipolar, right? It could be your next door neighbor. It's not that prejudice we might have of somebody who's, quote, crazy or irresponsible.
Experts say some signs of bipolar disorder are isolating, being lethargic and exhausted. If you or a loved one are experiencing these symptoms, see a doctor. For WCNC Charlotte, I'm Sarah French.